Take it or leave it, the gaming industry is changing, yes? We could see it very clear. We don't even need to look too far. For example, criticism of Sony, yes? For more than a decade, Sony has ruled the gaming landscape when it comes to, popularity and having the mind share of gamers. But we are now seeing in this generation, persons are standing up and criticizing Sony. Yes, there are many Xbox YouTubers, there are many gaming enthusiasts standing up and actually calling Sony out for all their bad business practices. You all could remember when this Sony guy called out Sony?
All that said, Max, how are you feeling about the PlayStation 5 3 years in?
I don't know who I'm going to piss off this episode, but I have my bones to pick with the PlayStation 5. But I think also, as far as how it's actually delivering on the promises that it sort of set out with, the DualSense, we kind of knew that was a little gimmicky going in, but I feel like it really is pretty underwhelmingly utilized. The extremely cool, fast hard drive speed, we see that in bits and pieces, but really only in like the first party stuff. Like the price increase stuff is not great. Everything's getting price increases across the board. We talked about this a few weeks ago, but this is the first PlayStation generation that it's gotten a price hike 3 years in rather than a price drop, which is usually the case, which that sucks. It honestly, a lot about this generation reminds me of the bad years of the PS3. There's a sort of hubris coming out of Sony that isn't it's not very customer friendly. It's not much fun really. And again, like the sort of, I don't know, the things that I wish they were doing, they're not, but who am I to say? PSVR 2 especially is just baffling because it seems like Sony has pretty much forgotten that thing exists. You bought one. How's that going?
I very publicly stated on and got quite a response that I regret spending that money, and I still regret it.
Well, here's
Even
the
thing. I want it to be awesome. That's why I bought it, but it's just not.
Yeah. I mean,
Yo, shout the season, man. Shout the season, man.
Yes, this generation persons are actually calling out Sony for all their bad business practices. But it's not only that. On the other hand, we are seeing that there are still some Sony fans who want to keep the status quo. They don't want persons to criticize Sony, and a matter of fact, they're saying that persons are being too mean to Sony.
Would think a little bit more critically before jumping on the hate bandwagons that are constantly taking off when it comes to PlayStation. This is what turns these conversations completely sour, because it's like, there are things we do need to criticize Sony for. There are things we need to be on there for, so we make sure that they improve or that they don't, continue to make whatever the mistake might be. But then when you have people trying to create these hate bandwagons on stuff that's has nothing to do with Sony, or very little to do with Sony, certainly not Sony being bad or doing something wrong, but people are trying desperately to convince others, like that only serves to muddy the conversation and confuse people and only make people see things one way.
So yes, PlayStation fans don't want you to criticize Sony. They want you to just think critically before you say anything negative about Sony. But they do not understand that the gaming industry is changing. Could you remember when at one point in time, persons were saying that Xbox has no games? Yes, but now look at this. Look how many games are coming to Game Pass. Look how many games Microsoft is throwing onto Game Pass. Look how many games person will be able to play on their Xbox console. Look at them. Yes, all of these are games. Now, on the other hand, we have Sony fans who aren't hearing anything about Sony, and they are starting to bring back up discussions of the secret showcase. Yes, the secret showcase that is going to show the PlayStation 5 Pro and a dozen or half a dozen games coming to the PlayStation 5 Pro.
My thought on Sony being like, well, they have to talk soon, right? We've been saying that for a long time. Like, they have to say something, right? We're kind of, if you keep saying that in some sense, you're foolish. You're not learning from history, because clearly they don't want to say much. And the other thought is that, and Dustin, you had brought this up, is the Pro needs to be revealed. And you're going to want to have like some insane showcase around the Pro. So you could say, from an optimist's point of view, obviously they're going to have a half dozen big games to show on the PS5 Pro or something to get you really amped up about it, put the platform out there, talk about the future, get some of these PlayStation games going. And like, I think we all feel in our heart of hearts that showcase has to be on the horizon somewhere.
Yes, the secret showcase is coming, guys. And guess what? The rumor is that Elvis, yes, Elvis would be hosting this showcase. The host of the secret showcase. You ain't nothing but a pony running around, you ain't nothing but a... So as the pony community try to explain and come to terms that the industry is changing, I mean, they are using all sorts of logic, talking about Kellogg's and so forth, to explain what Sony is doing.
Now, Bungie is not in a PlayStation studio. It's owned by Sony. Bungie is a Sony studio, not a PlayStation studio, right? Because Sony is a different entity than PlayStation. They used to be the same, but they split up. Now, if Sony gets hurt, PlayStation does it because they're a different thing. But Sony they're still part of them, but they're different companies under the same roof. Kind of like Kellogg's.
Who?
Kellogg's owning like everything else.
These ponies are sick, man. This is a sickness. So while the Sony community talk about how Sony is like Kellogg's, let's look at two ways that the industry is changing. So you know what? Let's talk about it.
This is a sickness!
Let's get it. So guys, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We are trying to grow the channel to 3,000 subscribers at the end of this year. So if it is this type of content interests you, hit that subscribe button. We are talking about Xbox news, a little bit of Nintendo, and some Sony pony salt. Yes, hit that subscribe button. Now let's get back to the video. Yes, keeping within the theme of change in the gaming industry, we all remember the days when Sony PlayStation had a grip on the Final Fantasy franchise. So much so that Sony got a number of Final Fantasy games exclusive to their platform. But Square Enix, realizing that is a failed model because of Forspoken failing, because of Foam Stars failing, and because of taking a big hit from Final Fantasy Reboot not doing well exclusive on the PlayStation, we are seeing that Square Enix is flipping the script. Square Enix is changing. Yes, there were reports that Square Enix would be bringing their games to all platforms as soon as possible. That is the big change in the industry. And because of that, listen to this new report that indicate that there might be a Final Fantasy Reboot coming to the Xbox. Listen.
Square Enix seemingly hints at an Xbox port for Final Fantasy XVI. The studio says it wants to bring the game to as many people as possible. Final Fantasy XVI celebrates its one-year anniversary this weekend, and publisher Square Enix has confirmed that it's still hard at work on the game's PC version. The studio also teased the possibility of the game coming to additional platforms outside of PS5 and PC. Hiroshi Takai, the main director of Final Fantasy XVI, released a statement today in celebration of the game's first anniversary. The development team is currently hard at work on the PC edition, he wrote, providing an update on the previously announced PC port for FF16. He goes on to say that his team would like to make Final Fantasy XVI available to play for as many people as possible, so watch out for that one too. The second quote seemingly teases a future announcement about a new port for FF16. The game is already for PS5 and confirmed for PC, which would leave Xbox and Switch as the outstanding modern platforms. Square Enix hasn't brought any of its modern Final Fantasy titles to Nintendo's hybrid console, making Xbox a likely candidate. Square Enix announced last month that it would be shifting to an aggressive, multiplatform strategy. For any future FF16 related announcements, stick with us here on Shack News.
Yes, so what a big change here for Square Enix. Now, some of you might be saying that, Square Enix always had games on the Xbox, but where the change is, guys, is that all Square Enix games would be going multiplat. That was not the case prior to, what Sony would have got an exclusive and so forth. So this is a big change. Very clear evidence that the industry is changing. The gaming industry is changing. So let me hear what you thought about that particular story. Let me hear what you thought about Final Fantasy might be getting an Xbox port sometime soon. So let me hear in the comment sections below. Now, there is another indication that the industry is changing, because I recall sometime last year, the PlayStation community was, making a victory lap that there were some stores in the UK that was discontinuing physical games for the Xbox. Now, they didn't realize that on the PlayStation side, the majority of games sold on the PlayStation side are digital games. We are seeing where PlayStation physical games would have dipped more than 50% over the years. Persons no longer go into the store and buy physical media. And the reason being is because most of the physical media has to be downloaded to your hard drive. You see, gone are the days where games are run off of the CD or the DVD or the Blu-ray disc. Yes, games are now run off of your hard drive. So even to add to that, when you look at the back of any game, you will see very clear and very fine print that you are authorized as a licensed user. You don't own the game. There is no game right now in your home that you own. You are authorized software user. So don't take my word for it. Go and do the research. You would see, right? They are allowing you to play the game. So because of all of these bad practices by the gaming industry, we would have seen where it is. Gamers no longer go out and buy physical games. They just download it digitally. But let's look and see more proof of the industry changing, because there is a big rumor of a big retailer doing this. Although they are denying it, listen to what they are saying, because where there is smoke, there is fire. Listen.
UK retailer Game will reportedly stop selling physical games in store. Update. Game denies the claims, telling VGC, this reporting is categorically not true. UK retailer Game will soon stop selling physical games in store, it's been claimed. According to a report by Gfinity Esports, sources say the retail chain plans to stop selling boxed software in its brick-and-mortar shops. Instead, players will only be able to buy hardware and physical software by pre-ordering at the store, or buying from the game website where they can have them shipped to their home or their nearest game store. Currently, a large part of physical game stores is taken up by gaming merchandise and non-gaming toys, including Lego, Barbie and Funko Pops. If the report that it's no longer selling physical games is true, this would be the latest setback for Game, which it was reported in April was cutting an unspecified number of jobs. Speaking to Eurogamer at the time, multiple employees said workers had been told to expect redundancies as the company was moving most non-managers to 0-hours contracts. In January, Game confirmed plans to stop buying and selling pre-owned games, with the trade-in service ending on February 16th. Earlier this month it was also confirmed that it will be ending its Game Reward and Game Elite reward schemes soon. Players will no longer be able to earn reward points from July 15th, and will no longer be able to redeem their existing balance after July 31st. If players still have existing balance after this date, it will be removed and they will have effectively lost that money. A spokesperson for Game has denied the report, telling VGC that, this reporting is categorically not true. Game continues to support the physical gaming market, offering a wide range of physical games, hardware, software, accessories and digital products, in stores and online, they added.
Yes, so although Game is vehemently denying that they are going to stop support physical games, the evidence is clear. The moves that they are making soon in the near future, they will not be, storing physical media. And this was predicted years ago that soon, there will not be any physical media to purchase, especially for those who want to buy their games. But we'll have to wait and see how the story develops. We'll have to wait and see how things progress. But it's very clear to see that the gaming media is changing. Now, would you accept what is going to change in the gaming industry? We'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you thought about everything in the comment sections below. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.